to talk about living with intention. And I just want to pass the microphone to our expert here to tell us briefly what that means.
Well, I'm Tanita, and living with intention, what does that mean to me? That definitely means living in the moment, being conscious of my breath, when I'm breathing, when I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing, really getting in tune with all of my senses. So that's definitely something that I have found to be true for living with intention.
Thank you. And I think that living with intention also means being deliberate and making choices about how you're going to live your life, because we don't have a lot of control over some of the things that get thrown at us, whether it's a diagnosis or a symptom. But we can make choices on how we respond to them. And science is showing that there are many, many reasons why we should sit down and self-evaluate as to what we're dealing with and what we'd like to change in our lives because of stress. So stress makes us sick, it makes us depressed and anxious, it makes us distracted and less effective in everything that we do. It steals our joy and quality of life. It impacts our sleep, which has a downstream effect on everything. And stress can lead us to do really unhealthy things in our seek for coping mechanisms. Science is showing that stress can impact the rate of progression of diseases, not just Huntington's disease, but Alzheimer's disease and even normal brain aging. And so it's really, really toxic to our memory centers and to other skills. It impacts our relationships. Think to a time when maybe you were under a lot of pressure and you responded to someone in a short tone or in a hurt manner or said something you didn't really mean. And then when we develop unhealthy coping mechanisms, like being glued to our cell phone as a distraction, or drinking alcohol, or smoking, doing those sorts of things, that causes more biological stress on our brain, which has a toxic effect on our memory centers, causes inflammation, which we now know is the root for things like Alzheimer's disease, and it causes us to not have memory restorative sleep, okay? So stress is going to impact not just our thinking skills and our movement, but also how we're doing emotionally. And what we find in the Parkinson's disease world is that there's a strong and pretty direct relationship between how quickly motor symptoms progress and how quickly cognitive symptoms progress. And what we're finding there is that by reducing stress and by exercising and doing other things, you can slow down the progression of the disease. And so that's why we want to talk about living with intention today. To phrase that more positively, we have some control over our lives. So let's learn how to do that, okay? And live our best lives. So as you sit and reflect on what it is that you want to target or change in your life, maybe your house is really disorganized and it causes you a lot of overwhelm when you walk into a room. Or maybe you feel like you can't be present in conversations because you're so busy ruminating or worrying about something else, whether it's what people think of you or things that are going on within your own life. And we can make a list of probably 100 different things that we could work on, okay? And that's what we're going to encourage you to do today. Some suggestions of things that people can target are diet. There's a lot of science behind nutrition and how it impacts how we're feeling energy-wise and cognitively. Our sleep, exercise, organization, as I mentioned, okay? Our thought content, which we call stinkin' thinkin'. If you've ever heard that phrase, I love it. And how we react to things emotionally. So these are some areas that we can target, okay? And there are many different ways to do that intentionally. Of course, we've got our doctors to help us with medications. We've got therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists who can help with organization. skills building, and exercise, okay? Ask yourself, first of all, what is my ultimate goal? This is the best way to go about this. What is my hope? Do I want to have more free time? Do I want to have more mental presence? Write your ultimate goal down, or if you don't write, record it on a voice recorder, and ask yourself why. Why is this my goal? And then ask yourself, what will my life look like if I change this? Okay, that's really, really important, because change is something that's hard and time consuming, and we can lose track of the why we're doing this when we're investing a lot of time in making changes. So you want to refer to these notes periodically as a refresher. Before we begin talking about how to make changes and how to live intentionally, it's really important to remember you didn't learn to walk in a day. There are sayings like Rome wasn't built in a day, or one brick does not make a house, a mile is not walked in one step. These are really important to remind ourselves, because change takes bites and time, and we can miss a bite and still continue on that trajectory, right? You can not follow through with a goal one day and still have success down the road. There are a lot of different methods to help coach us through making life changes and living with intention. You can find these on the internet. There are a lot of books. Adam Grant wrote a book called Atomic Habits that is in audiobook format as well, and it's tremendously helpful. There's an acronym called SMART goal setting, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. But also starting with just simple daily changes, the smallest steps that we can make can be really helpful. We can work with an expert like a psychologist, a therapist, a life coach here. And we can seek knowledge and insight from people around us, resources around us, like our doctors, other individuals who've been through this journey before. And one good strategy is to have a change partner. So we're stronger together, right? So you're more successful if you join an exercise group on average than if you exercise alone or if you have an exercise partner. Okay. So here are some tools for simple daily changes in order to live with intention. So first of all, identify what you want to change or focus on, and then plan out how you're going to do it. Hold yourself accountable and be specific. When am I going to do this? What day of the week? What time of day? How long? Schedule it in. Scheduling is one of the most important things for us to clear up our headspace and our lives and to feel like we're in control of things. Just putting it into an architecture like a schedule book or a computer program can take off a huge weight or burden from us, okay? Think about when you feel best. Some of us are morning people, some of us are evening people, but it's important to be aware of your biorhythm, because that's going to help you decide when you want to work on your intention and your change. Some people do best if they start their day with something. Before all else, I'm going to do this, just like we brush our teeth first thing, or finish your day with it, again, brushing our teeth, okay, or taking medicine. And it's also important before we get started to know that when you use a schedule book, if you need to tend to something else, first of all, you must reschedule it, okay? Don't just say, I'll get to it tomorrow. That might have worked for us when life was less busy, less stressful, but it's not necessarily the most effective manner now. There are some great tricks to make change and intention easier. So first of all, pairing it with something rewarding. So for example, trying to get myself to exercise on my already busy schedule, I was missing out on TV, and so I watched television while I'm on my stationary cycle, right? So yeah, think like that. Or listen to your favorite music while you're sorting through papers. Make it fun. So cleaning, not my forte. Every evening at 8 o'clock, my Alexa device plays circus music, and for 10 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, I run around the house like a mad woman, cleaning up, picking, preparing for the next day. And it's fun because that circus music is crazy and it makes me laugh. And had I not done that, that would have been 10 minutes more of work that I would have had to do on the weekend. So already I'm getting more than an hour's out, because I'm doing it like a mad lady, out of the way before the weekend comes. So that's time I have to enjoy. It's really important when you're making changes to reflect on your progress. You want to do that in the immediate. So, great job, Myriam. You got your room cleaned up. You want to do it daily before you go to bed, weekly. What have I accomplished this week? Monthly. And sometimes we're not the best judges of where we're growing and making change. And so let other people know that you're working on something so that they can say, hey, that's looking great. You've made great progress on it. And that can be really rewarding. We do best with positive reinforcement. So also a form of positive reinforcement is setting a reward for yourself. So, maybe you want to say, if I can get this accomplished and be consistent with it, I'm going to take myself out for ice cream this week, okay? Those things can be really helpful. The acronym SMART goal setting stands for specific, measurable, attainable, or achievable, relevant, and time specific. And if you don't have a cell phone to take a picture of this, all you have to do is plug this into Google. You'll remember the word SMART goal setting, and there are lots of pages that can help you learn how to do this. But the key with SMART goal setting is that you want to be realistic, right? So if you want to start exercising, it wouldn't be a goal that you're going to exercise 120 minutes every single day when you haven't been doing anything in the past, right? You want to start with something realistic, build your way up. You want to be specific about when you're going to do it so you can hold yourself accountable and how you're going to do it, okay? Mindfulness is something that can be really helpful in both reflecting on areas that need change and improvement in our life and reflecting on growth. And I want to pass the microphone just briefly to Ms. Tanita to talk about mindfulness, because I think she's a bit of an expert in this.
Well, thank you, Myriam. I think you're more of an expert. But I wanted to say that how I practice mindfulness, I meditate at least once every single day. Now, sometimes I'm able to meditate twice a day. And I started out with a 5-minute meditation. It just, I could not focus and concentrate for the longest time. So I would do like a 5-minute guided meditation. You could find them on YouTube or whatever, but I love the guided ones because I didn't know how to begin. So I needed some direction. So a guided meditation is what I did. And I worked myself up to 30 minutes in the morning and if I'm lucky, 30 minutes at night. But after I do that, I like to consume water, lemon water, usually something with lemon in it. I consume water. I'll also have like a morning smoothie. I do stretches, deep breathing exercises. I have a gratitude journal that I write in, and I specifically will write like 3 things that I'm grateful for. So it could be something like, I'm grateful that today's Friday. I'm grateful that, I woke up today. I'm grateful that I was able to go to the bathroom by myself, or I'm able to shower. I'm grateful for everything. And just staying in that mindset sets me up for the day to be have my mind, have me more intentional as far as in my thinking. And after that, I like to journal. I nourish my body with healthy foods. I take sometimes the comfort foods, the Southern comfort foods that I love. I like to take them and try to make a healthy version of them. I tweak recipes. I engage in things like walking. I'll walk, 3 to 5 times a week, 20 minutes to and from. So that's like a 40-minute, walk. I do stretches. I do yoga, and I will do yoga from like the YouTube video or whatever. Just something simple, something in the house, something simple. I do emotional check-ins with my therapist. I have a therapist. I have a psychiatrist and a psychologist. The psychologist is the one I check in with on a regular basis, and the psychiatrist is the one I check in like once every. She has me now once a year, which is awesome. So I don't have to see her for once a year, but the other one is when I need it, like every 2 weeks, sometimes, as often as I need to. I check in and I ask myself, how am I feeling emotionally and physically? And I give myself permission to rest when I need to rest. If I need to sleep, I sleep. Sleep is like a big, huge deal for me. It took me months, but I got myself up to the point where I sleep at a certain time and I wake up at a certain time. I limit my screen time. So anything with blue lights, like obviously like a computer screen or like your phone or whatever, I don't look at those things past a certain hour. Um, and I will make sure that I do a wind down. So I have a nighttime routine and a morning routine, nighttime routine as far as like self care. So I might do skincare routine, at night, a skincare routine in the daytime. Um, I also will, it's hard, but this is hard, but I have a hard time with scrolling. So scrolling, oh my God, is like, I could be on, Instagram or whatever forever, looking at animal videos or something, I mean, I find myself getting lost in that type of thing. So I give myself permission to watch, but then I give myself, I, an ultimatum. Okay, you can only watch for 20 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you got to put the phone down or whatever. And that's what I do. I give myself permission to want things that I want, and in moderation, and just go from there. And then I prioritize tasks that are really, really important. Like I said, the sleep schedule is so super important. I make sure I hydrate. I drink a ton of water every day, all day. That's what I do. And I just find that it makes me I just feel better. I do add Crystal Light to my water because I don't necessarily like plain water all the time. So I schedule time for rest, time for self care, joy, hanging out. Um, and I plan my day ahead of time. Like I'll plan what I'm gonna do Tuesday on Monday, and therefore the next day, the subsequent day I do that. Um, I keep a calm, cozy corner in my home for meditation, prayer, or reflection. I like candles. I have aromatherapy. I love aromatherapy stuff, so I will definitely have a favorite scent um, going or whatever. Um, and I try to speak kindly to myself. That's one thing. I'm very much, speaking kind, watching and being careful about the language that I use towards myself, not being so hard on myself and being gentle with myself because no one's perfect. And just having a lot of compassion. That's what I'm learning in the master's program that I'm in, the health and wellness program. I'm learning to be more compassionate with myself. And that's what I do.
It sounds like you've made tremendous, tremendous steps towards living intentionally with how you use your device and what you put in your body and exercise and all those sorts of things. And I think just looking at you from the outside, you just seem so put together, and I think it's really helped. But can you think about how it's impacted you? Can you reflect about the time before you started making these changes and how life is different now?
Well, before I was um, very overweight. I had a weight problem, and then on top of that, I had other problems connected to the weight problem. So I was pre-diabetic. I had at one point I even had heart medication that I had to take. I had just a slew of problems just from not exercising, and I never had a sleep schedule that made sense. So I just wanted to I was tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I got to that point and I just said, you know what, let me just do a little bit at a time. I reached out for support with the medical team at the Cleveland Clinic, and they put me in touch with all types of people and resources. And I just found that there was just a whole world out there, nutritionists that I could talk to. And I just started making small changes. I didn't go big, I went small, just a little bit at a time. Maybe I would eliminate certain things from my diet, but I would do one thing at a time. I wouldn't do a whole thing. And over time, I was able to get down to a healthy weight. I no longer take any of those things. I no longer have pre-diabetes or have any heart issue, nothing. I have none of those issues anymore as a result of getting my weight under control. So, yeah, and getting my sleep and just resting. I realized that I made a huge change in the way I wake up every morning. My mood is better. My mood is just more even, and I'm not as agitated or annoyed by people. I find that if I get that way, then what I need to do is rest. Probably more than likely it's just the rest, because sometimes a lot of things can be overstimulating. Sometimes people, places, and things can be overstimulating for us with HD. So sometimes it's good to recognize when that happens and when you have to pull back and say, I need to go and be by myself or whatever, because that is important.
So all of these steps have not only helped your physical health, but they've helped your mental health and cognitive health, presumably, as well. I had the pleasure of speaking with Tanita before today, and one of the things she shared with me was that she likes to use guided meditations. And meditation is when you pause and you either try to clear your mental space or you try to select what you let into your mental space. Some people can do this off the cuff. They can just imagine themselves somewhere and walk through the five senses. What do I see? What do I feel? What do I hear? What do I taste and smell? And they can do a meditation that way. Other people have mantras that they recite. I think that guided meditations are particularly helpful in Huntington's disease because there's someone who's walking you through a scenario exactly as they've written it. And so I asked Tanita to share one with us that she has used in the past. Do you mind to walk us through this? Make yourselves comfortable.
Okay. Close your eyes, or you can lighten your gaze and take a deep breath in. Nice breath out. Let this be a moment just for you, wherever you are. Begin by gently closing your eyes and softening your gaze. Allow your body to settle into a comfortable position. Let your hands rest in your lap or by your side. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment. And slowly exhale through your mouth. Let's do that again. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale tension. Inhale calm. Exhale tension. One more breath. Inhale deeply. And let it go. Feel the weight of your body supported by the surface beneath you. Notice the points of contact, your feet, your legs, and your back. Feel the earth holding you, steady, present, safe. Begin to bring your attention to your breath. There's nothing to change. Just notice it as it moves in and out. Let each breath be a gentle reminder that you are here, alive, and safe in this moment. Now quietly repeat to yourself, I am here. I am safe. I am enough. Let these words settle into your being. If your mind wanders, gently guide it back with kindness. Back to your breath. Back to this peaceful moment. Let's take one more breath in together and then slowly release it. Begin to bring your awareness back to the room. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. Gently open your eyes when you're ready. Carry this sense of calm with you. You've just taken 5 minutes to come home to yourself, and that's a beautiful thing.
Nod your head or raise your hand if you're feeling a bit more relaxed. Yeah, that took 5 minutes. And so these are things that you can do in even less than 5 minutes when you're at home, when you're in a doctor's office, when you're riding in the car in traffic, okay? So really, really powerful tools. And you can find anything on the internet these days too. So there are lots of guided meditations out there on YouTube, printed on Google. Ask somebody to print them out for you or to save them on your phone if you're not technologically skilled, okay? So we're talking about identifying things that we need to do to make ourselves as healthy as possible so that we can slow down disease progression, so we can be as present as possible, so we can thrive and live with joy. And I'd love for everyone to put this into practice, what you've learned today. We can do this now if you have paper or a cell phone that you can write on. Think about something that you want to achieve in your life, maybe diet related, maybe exercise related, maybe sleep related. Start broad and then make it as specific as possible. And as we talked about before, try to identify days, times, ways, frequencies, people that can help you through this process. Try to identify an ultimate goal as to what you want to do and why it is that you want to do this. I want to do this so that I am more lighthearted, more loving, more present, more healthy, more able to enjoy life, whatever it might be. You may have many whys. So take a moment to do this for yourself, and if you want to come and share with either of us, we're happy to talk with you. I encourage you to take your notes home and reflect on them and continue to work on this, because it can be really difficult to pick one thing or to, really plan it out and think through it. So give yourself time. And anytime we're making changes, there is a honeymoon where we're really into it and we're doing great. Might last a few days or a few weeks, and there's inevitably a slip where we stop doing all those good things. Maybe life gets in the way or we get bored of it. Know that that's normal when that happens, and it doesn't mean that you're doomed for failure. It just means that you need to pick yourself up again, like you did when you were learning to walk the first time. You fell down, you got back up, and you kept persisting. Okay. We're also happy to entertain any questions that you all have for the group that you think might be relevant to everybody.
And you said that you were having problems falling. How did you counteract that? You seem very stable now.
Oh, thank you. Well, I actually had a physical therapist. I had lots and lots and lots of physical therapy. I did a lot of, first of all, I would never be seen in shoes this high. So I would never have worn anything like that when I was in that state. But what I did was, I was very overweight, and I lost a lot of weight. And I started doing things like, I have like doing strength training in my legs, my arms. And I found that, you know what, as I was losing weight and as I was doing the physical therapy, I was noticing that I was needing my cane less and less. And I was actually very surprised at the way that I was able to not need my cane anymore. I no longer need it. But it was really through a rigorous physical therapy and exercise, getting down to a healthy weight. And I do weight training also.
And if you have health insurance, physical therapy is something that is covered by almost all health insurance. And if your doctors code the need the right way, if you have Medicare, there's no copay for it. So that's really important to know. Those benefits renew every year. Get physical therapy every year. If your skills change, go back and get a new routine from your physical therapist. But it's really important to practice those specific skills that the PT gives you. It's not like going to the dentist where they clean your teeth and they're like, okay, go on, I'll see you in 6 months. No. When you go to physical therapy, you're learning things that you need to practice in everyday life and hold on your mind in everyday life to keep up how you're doing.
And when you changed your diet, what was like the first thing what was your first step in changing your diet?
The question was, when Tanita changed her diet, how did she do it? What was the first step?
That's a good question. First of all, the thing that I did with my diet was I went to see a nutritionist, and we looked at a lot of things that I needed to get out of my diet. Because I was pre-diabetic, she told me to get rid of sugar, refined sugar, so regular sugar. So I immediately had to find a substitute for that instead of the refined sugars. So that was off the table, and then I had to lower the amount of carbs in my diet. While I wasn't she didn't have me eliminate the carbs. What she told me was like, you know what, try to ease up on like bread and like rice or anything like that. If you have rice, have brown rice, like find healthy versions of whatever. So basically the big thing was sugar, and I was never a drinker. So I'm not, I didn't do that. And I never smoked, so I'm not a smoker. And I was very much, she just kept saying, do a little bit at a time. I didn't even count calories. I personally did not count calories. I had made sure that I had a high protein, low carb diet.
So with your protein, did you eliminate so did you change your protein? So like, did you eliminate beef?
No, I eat everything. Steak, chicken, fish, I don't care. I will eat it. And I can't have shellfish. I'm allergic to that. But other than that, I will eat a steak. I will eat, yes, absolutely.
Diet is something that's particularly hard to address because sugar is truly addictive to the brain. It really is. And
everything.
With sugar, you want to just make slow changes, make smart changes. So maybe if you're craving apple pie, you eat apple oatmeal and put a teaspoon of vanilla ice cream on top. So start by little changes. Again, Rome was not built in a day. And applaud yourself for every little change that you make, and reflect, be mindful on how you're feeling. So for example, I started bringing tuna fish and an apple to work for lunch. And I was like, wow, I've got great staying power through the afternoon of work. And that reinforced it. So I recognized that I felt better with what I was eating, and that made a big difference. Thanks for your question. Other questions? Does anybody want to hear about sleep training? Yeah, so sleep is something that can be really, really challenging to train. I wrote an article that was published with HD Reach several years ago, and so you can probably go into the archives and find that. It talks about this in a lot more detail. But there are people out there that do sleep therapy, and you can achieve it in 1 or 2 sessions. What I teach people is to, first of all, be regimented. So pick a time that's reasonable that you're going to go to bed each day and try to stick to it 7 days a week within 30 minutes, okay? You want to be mindful of your caffeine, which can come in many different forms, including some of those hydrating drops you put in your water. Some of them are caffeinated, okay? So you want to read labels really, really carefully and try to cut the caffeine out afternoon. You want to reflect on what is causing you to wake up if you're waking up in the middle of the night. Are you having to use the restroom? And if so, you want to push your fluids a little bit earlier in the day. Maybe you still need some meds to take, you still need some water to take meds, but don't drink a whole 16 ounces right before bedtime because that might be inclined to wake you up. You want to be aware of blue lights. Blue lights are these bright lights that are in our modern devices, and they cause our brain to not release melatonin. It causes our brain to think that it's daytime and we need to be vigilant because there might be predators out there, or we need to be active because it's hunting and gathering time, right? So blue lights will really disrupt not just our sleep onset, but the quality of sleep that we have through the night, or sleep architecture. And so put a blue light filter on your phone. If you are inclined to fall asleep to TV, maybe try to switch to audio instead, or put a curtain in front of your TV or a pillowcase in front of your TV to block out the light if there isn't a way to just have the sound from that, okay? You want to be regimented about what you do before you go to bed, because all of these things will cue the brain specifically that it's time for sleep. Your brain will learn these patterns of things. Maybe it's brushing your teeth and washing your face. Maybe it's sniffing chamomile tea or lavender, certain scents. Maybe it's listening to a certain song or saying a certain prayer before you go to bed. Try to do those all in the same sequence, because your brain learns that that stuff happens before sleep, and it helps you to fall asleep. Just like, think back to when you were in school. If you heard kids walking down the hall, going to the cafeteria, and you smelled the food from the cafeteria, you'd all of a sudden get hungry, right? Even if you had a massive breakfast in the morning. Those are the cues that elicited a response, a biological response. And it's called classical conditioning, and we can use this to train ourselves to fall asleep. So I take it one step further with my patients or clients, and I have them pick out a series of about 1 hour worth of music with words, or a TV episode. And what you're going to do once you get into bed after doing all those other things, you're going to press play, and you're just going to recite the words of the music or of the TV program. And when your mind wanders away to thinking about what you've got to do tomorrow, or what you forgot to do today, or yada, 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 just say, oops, my mind wandered. That's normal. We're intelligent beings. Our minds are active. My job now is to get back to the words. And so you keep reciting the words. And there are things that happen in your brain at the neurobiological level when you're doing this consistently before your body falls asleep. And eventually your brain pairs those sounds specifically with the idea of sleep. And you start to fall asleep sooner and sooner and sooner and sooner in the sounds, okay? And so what that means is that you cannot pick something you're going to hear while you're driving, because you will fall asleep. If you've trained yourself well enough, you will fall asleep to this music if you're in a doctor's office or whatever. I personally, when I was training myself to do this, used music from a movie that I would never hear in public, right? It was Full Mountain. And this works so powerfully for our brains that if you get away from that music for 5 years, you can press play when you have a stressor and you will fall asleep just like you did before. Now I can just sing a portion of whatever I remember from the music 20 years ago when I'm having a stressful night, and I'll fall asleep within a few minutes. So this is very, very powerful. It does take time and consistency. So you want to play the music every single night. A good way to do that is to download it from YouTube or whatever else onto your phone, or if you have an old CD player lying around, you might do it that way. But again, do not pick something you're going to hear while driving a car or doing anything dangerous, okay?
And what I wanted to say was that for the blue light, I actually have blue light protective coating on my glasses. So like on all my glasses, I have that automatically because I'm always in front of a computer screen. So, well, every day usually. And my ophthalmologist suggested that I get, have a protective lens, for that. So that may be an option for you guys with glasses.
Other questions about change?
They get it.
Those lenses can protect you from headaches if you're inclined to get headaches when you look at a computer screen. Yeah. Other common changes, exercise is one that's hard, and I recommend you not set a huge goal of doing exercise every single day, but maybe start with a few minutes a day. There was a research study where a large company decided that they needed to make their employees healthier because the rate of insurance was going up because they had more people with diabetes and hypertension. And so they retained a psychologist to figure out how to make people healthier. And the psychologist went in and said, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to give half these people a membership to the gym, and half these people I'm going to give instructions by email every day. And the instructions that came into a person's desk each morning, the first day it was something like, stand up where you are and sit back down. That's an exercise? Yeah. Second day it was stand up in your chair, turn around once, and then sit back down. And then it was stand up in your chair, walk to the door, and then come back. Every day they built upon it to where they were going down some stairs and coming back up some stairs. And what they found over time is that 6 months after the study had concluded, the people that got the teeny tiny carrot bites every single day were still taking the stairs to and from work every single day, starting their job, going to lunch, coming back from breaks, leaving for the day. So making it easy, too easy, is not a bad thing. Dangling that carrot in front of you, okay?
And I wanted to add that for extra support, whatever you're wanting to work on, whether it's your body, whether it's anything that you may have an addiction to, or you may feel that you need help with, I'm a strong proponent for 12-step programs, because there's a 12-step program for everything. I mean, there's Clutterers Anonymous if you're messy, and there's Overeaters Anonymous if you have a weight problem. There's Alcoholics Anonymous. There's Al-Anon if you're related to people who are and you want support. But getting that extra support, you can anonymously go on meetings online, on the phone, through Zoom. I mean, it's just so accessible. And in person, it's so accessible. Any 12-step program. And, follow the 12-step principle and get the support in that community as well.
And if you have other people around you that can give you support, let them know what you're working on so that they can periodically check in on you and figure out how to be helpful to you. For example, if you're working on trying to pull sugar out of your diet, it's important to let the people around you know that so that they're not trying to push the cake on you, right? Yeah. Any other questions? Well, I wish you all the best. Thank you for listening to us today. I hope this has been helpful.